4 Midwest Guys presents The Night's Watch, a Game of Thrones podcast.
Night gathers, and now my watch begins. I am the sword in the darkness. I am the watcher on the walls. I am the shield that guards the realm of men.
We watch, we listen, and we remember. The past is already written, the ink is dry.
I thought he was the man to lead us through the long night. I was wrong.
Show them what Lannisters are. What we do to our enemies.
How do you know this?
That's what I do. I drink, and I know things.
I believe men of talent have a part to play in the war to come. I will never sit around.
You could help another climb those steps and take that seat.
I'm not going to stop the wheel. I'm going to break the wheel.
They have no idea what's going to happen.
The real war is between the living and the dead. And make no mistake, the dead are coming.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to 4 Midwest Guys presents A Night's Watch, a Game of Thrones podcast. Tonight we'll be reviewing Season 6, Episode 8, No One. With me today is Johnny Z.
There are some brave men on the other side of the door. Let's go kill them!
Back with his Tyrion references. And with him, as always, is his lovely wife, Stephanie.
Why me?
And my brother Aaron is here with us.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Pretty good. Mr. Drinkenbauer couldn't be with us. He's a little under the weather, so we wish him well. And so hopefully he gets to the apothecary or whatever.
A fourth Midwest guy has no name.
Has no name. Alright, so let's get into No One. We pick up pretty much where we left off last week. Kind of, sort of anyway. So last week we saw, ARYA get stabbed in the stomach and wandering aimlessly through the town. Mm-hmm. And kind of left off there. So we open up this episode with, we see Lady Crane's back. She's doing her emotional monologue again as CERSEI, and with the death of Joffrey. And she does her whole performance, but she adds Arya's comments from the last episode where she said she would be angry.
Yeah, she makes it slightly more emotional, a bit more touching and moving. You can kind of see it in the audience.
Yeah, it changed.
Oh, she rewrote the dialogue in there, too.
Yeah, before it was much more just kind of a slapsticky, comedic sort of thing, and it really kind of...
Yeah, it was like the grieving mother kind of thing, yeah.
Yeah. And she gets a standing ovation for it, too. I mean, it's obviously everybody enjoyed it a lot more.
It's a lot like that scene in Mulholland Drive where you've got, like, the one-line reading, and then the director says, okay, don't try it like this, and it's a completely different tone.
Yeah, a completely different take on the whole line. So, little acting there for you, John.
A little directing, too.
Yeah. So, after her standing ovation, she returns backstage only to find a bleeding Arya, kind of hiding behind the curtain and some costumes. So she takes her in, tends to her wounds, they have a little bit of a conversation, just some, kind of a nice little exchange, I guess. Nothing too terribly important, though, from what I can remember. I don't know, was there anything you guys took from the conversation?
It made me kind of chuckle because Arya was like, well, how did you, you're an actress, how did you learn to sew up wounds like that? She goes, oh, I had husbands. And she goes, well, I guess they got beat. No, they would beat me up, and then I would stab them and feel guilty, so I would sew them back up. That made me laugh. I was like, okay.
So eventually, Lady Crane, as they go through the conversation, she actually says, "Well, come with us. Join our company, become an actress." And Arya turns her down. She says she's got business to finish. She offers her the milk of the poppy, which again Arya also turns down. So Arya again kind of
she accepts it like a second or two later, doesn't she?
What's that?
Like the milk of the poppy or like the opium. Doesn't she accept it like a minute later?
Later, I think so, but
she accepts it because Lady Crane goes, you need your rest, you need to sleep.
Yeah, rest is the only thing that's going to heal it.
Right, and Arya is like, okay, fine. Because she knows with milk of the poppy. I think she's afraid because you know, that it'll really make you sleep if you take enough of it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, she wouldn't quite be able to
I think
respond.
that's why she was worried, that because this is the stuff they give you to kind of fade out and die.
Well, yeah, it's like the morphine,
You know,
or
that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
That's what
I mean, that's more or less what it's referencing is pretty much old school style opium.
Right.
But I mean, you know,
But it would dull the
Socrates,
senses.
here, I'm going to take this and kill myself.
So yeah, she basically takes the and she also has some really crappy soup. Apparently, Lady Crane is not the best cook.
She acts well, she stitches well, but does not cook.
Does not cook well. So
You can't do everything.
nobody's perfect.
She stabs their husbands well, but doesn't cook well for them.
So Arya fades off to sleep. Moving on to our next scene, which is they bring us to a forest. There's a bunch of guys talking, bloating, basically boasting about.
It's like, oh, you want to know how to kiss a woman properly, eh?
They're sticking their fingers down their butts, but whatever.
Yeah.
That was it wasn't what the guy was originally expecting when he
No,
thought
I
he was
know,
going to learn
but
to kiss,
oh my
but it's how it ended.
That was
Yeah, it's the weirdest kind of like almost stoner comedy take on Game of Thrones era.
It's definitely like a Fairly Brothers moment of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I like crude guy humor, but yeah, that's taking it too far. You don't stick your no.
You didn't like International Women's Day there?
Poor baby.
That was a little different, but a dude does just not do that to another dude. I'm just saying. Anyway. A straight dude, anyway, to another straight dude. All right.
But if you do, it's okay.
No, it's not.
Oh, boy.
So, anyway, they continue talking, and suddenly, coming up from behind them is the Hound.
That fucking made me laugh.
Oh my god, it's so great.
I loved how that scene is shot.
The two older guys that were laughing at the young guy that they just, like, got the better of with their joke. He's sitting there just like, oh god, you guys are the worst. And the two older guys are looking right at him just like, there's this huge guy with an axe right behind you.
And what made me laugh is in my head and watching the scene now, thinking about the scene now, if I could have Twisted Sisters, We're Not Gonna Take It play while the Hound is walking up and just cutting them apart. Oh my god!
Got the D. Snyder
that
hair thing
made
going
me
on.
laugh my ass.
The guy at the end
slightly
got it
due
the
to the
worst.
burn, but
Yeah, well, outside of the burn. So.
The guy at the end got it the worst. He takes an axe to the dude's junk. I mean, just...
Any last words?
Fuck you!
That's the best you can do.
Yeah, I'm
You
sure
want those to be your last
I'm
words?
sure the Hound's killed enough people it kind of gets boring and repetitive. Like, you want a little variation of
what
the
did
people
he
you
say?
kill.
Fuck you! Really? That's what you want your last words to be? What else did he say? I forgot.
I'm trying to remember the entire scene.
I came in.
I really
halfway.
think those were his last words.
No,
actually.
there was
they
something else. I can't even remember.
Anyway,
And he was like, "All
weren't.
right."
Because he was like, tell me where the Brotherhood is. And he's like, fuck you. That's what you want your last words to be? And he tells like, see, I told you could do better.
it's interesting though how they've taken the Hound, who when we first met him was killing a child, putting it on his horseback, basically being this asshole of assholes, and now we find ourselves rooting for the guy.
Kind of. Well, I mean, when you first introduce the Hound, he's kind of a tool of the state, at least for the fact
he's a
he's
stone
fighting.
cold killer.
Yeah, but I mean, he's working for, like, it's the Lannisters when we first meet him, isn't it?
Oh yeah, he's worked for Joffrey.
Joffrey, yeah. But if you notice, that's kind of been the theme for this season. Everybody that we initially had we saw Sansa in season 1. She's like this prim, proper, oh god, we want to smack you, Barbie kind of figure. We see Cersei and Jaime as like these incredibly evil people, but I mean, everybody's kind of like come full circle almost. Like we see everybody in a different light right now.
Or at the very least, they all seem to be a bit more gray in how you interpret them.
Except for Ramsay, he's still the Antichrist.
Yeah, and Joffrey,
but he's only been for like since last season or
last 3 or 4 seasons.
Which maybe that's kind of the thing that's going on. Is like the people that are the shades of gray in this kind of morality world are the ones that live the longest. And the ones that
they might be the most flexible in terms of what they're willing to do or not do or what's necessary.
Right. Look at Jon Snow.
Indeed. So, like I said, now we find ourselves laughing at the Hound and how he kills people.
There has been a lot of fun like death scenes in the last season or so where
they're making fun of themselves.
Yeah, you have a weird humorous vibe just in how they cut it and how they direct it, which you really didn't have in the first couple seasons.
No,
it's been an interesting change, but it kind of works for the tone of it.
Well, it's just like their dark and brooding has become pop culture, and now they're making fun of themselves for it. I don't know. It's just strange. Every time I'm liking it, I'm finding myself liking it, but at the same time, I'm like, wait a minute.
Well, there's always been kind of a dark sense of humor all throughout Game of Thrones, and if anything, that's kind of what's made the show so endearing, is if you constantly had all the brooding, all the political people, all the mother of dragons, I mean, it would get boring.
Danny and Tyrion, 2016.
It would get boring because it's changed from like in the earlier seasons where most of the humorous moments were dialogue or like some character moments, where it's really just they're making it almost the action scenes more humorous.
Well, yeah,
which is a weird transition for the show. Like it almost, I'm expecting like another season down is just going to be Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead style.
We're going to see what happens next week. We'll get into that a little later, but
next week's the big episode.
Yeah, our potential Blackwater rival, but
we'll see.
Yeah, no, I just what was I gonna say? I don't know.
We'll get back to it
anyway.
All right. So moving on. Next scene, we go across the narrow sea. We're back in Marine. We see a red priestess preaching of Daenerys and how wonderful she is. And Marine has basically gone from being a ghost town back to a prosperous city. People are working. People are out and about. People are, I guess, feeling good about themselves.
Yeah.
I guess, because
Marine's starting to feel like a city again.
Yeah, kind of like a functional city. People.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to go outside and worry about getting stabbed or anything like when you were dealing with like the Sons of the Harpy or whatever.
Right, and and basically we see Tyrion's pretty pleased with himself. Basically his big brain, his intellect has done this. He's done a good job. But Varys, walking with him, goes, "You made a pact with fanatics." He's basically throwing it back in his face, saying, "Well, this comes at a price."
It's interesting because you have that sort of comparison to what Cersei did when she dealt with the Sparrow and the fanatics in King's Landing, and it will be interesting to see whether you have that same kind of shift here as well.
But Tyrion shakes him off. I think he even says, "Don't be a killjoy." I think maybe even he said. I don't know. Anyway, but basically Tyrion's very confident that he did the right thing. Essentially, it's just kind of a little of a back and forth scene. The other thing we find out in this scene is Varys is off on a secret mission to Westeros, so he's heading back. We don't know why or
whatever mission that may be. Yes.
Yeah. So that's an interesting twist. Where do you guys think he's up to? Any thoughts?
Ideas? I really don't know. I mean,
I'm clueless, honestly. I can't really figure it out.
I feel like he needs to go back because he's been away for so long.
Yeah.
That he needs to gather, for lack of a better term, his little birds.
Put the flock back together.
And
just basically figure out what's going on.
Kind of find his footing back
King's
over
Landing.
there. Yeah.
So kind of just like an intelligence gathering sort of mission.
Yeah, but I'm afraid that Cersei found out that Varys helped him or helped Tyrion and might do something to him when he gets back.
Yeah.
It's a possibility. I mean, that's kind of dependent on where Cersei is in the whole situation at that time as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But, I mean, she even said something to her little priest friend. Your little birds let me know what was going on. Thank you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just kind of racking my brain. That's another twist they've thrown into us.
It could be he's going to procure allies or ships or any number of things.
Or, basically just to get intel because he's been away from King's Landing for so long. I mean, this could finally be the moment where we see, Daenerys get off her ass and get out of Marine, for God's sakes.
And prepare, so he's preparing the way for the invasion. Maybe.
Could be. It's about goddamn time. You want to break the wheels, fucking turn it. We'll just sit there and
that has been one of the jokes of Game of Thrones is winter is still coming.
Yeah.
It's been coming since
6 seasons later. Winter's still freaking coming.
White Walkers still beyond the wall. Have not Have not successfully invaded yet.
This is like lower Midwest winters. Like, we keep waiting for it and waiting for it, and it doesn't get here till February.
Yeah.
So, the scene ends with basically a little jab by Varys saying, I can't possibly go on a secret mission with the most popular dwarf in the city.
It wasn't a bad line.
No, which Tyrion kind of agrees and goes, yes, the most popular dwarf in the city.
Well, I think he corrects him.
He goes, no,
I'm the most famous dwarf in the world.
That's right, in the
Yes.
world.
Mm-hmm.
So, a little humor there.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a best friend kind of moment because
He
they
was
are
sad to
best
see him go. Yeah,
he was like, I'm sad to see you go, but I understand, and can't you stay? And,
well, yeah, he's basically that's his only friend, his only real friend.
Well, the only one that like Tyrion ever could really talk to. I mean, the only one that like can speak with him on his own level.
Well, Varys essentially saved his life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
absolutely did.
He saved his life
on a couple occasions.
Yeah. And Tyrion knows that, and Varys knows that, but Varys also knows that Tyrion is a man that was worth saving, because he feels like you're the only one that saved King's Landing that day, not Joffrey, not the army, you. So, yeah.
I'm going all the way back to like season 2 there.
All right, so we move back to the Red Keep. And we move on to a very fun little confrontation. This was one of my favorite parts of this episode, honestly. So basically, the Faith Militant says that Cersei needs to go see the High Sparrow immediately. He basically demands her presence, essentially. She's pretty pissed off and not going to budge. And so the Faith Militant, I think, is what they're called.
Yeah.
Well, because there's supposedly like a gathering at the main hall, and she's like, as the queen, I should be there. It's like, you are confined. No,
that came later.
No, that's later in the episode.
Okay.
Because that's around the time they announced.
This is regarding that the scepter or the high priest wants her to come
see him
and
oh,
she
that's
said,
right. That's
and
right.
this is where she tells Lancel, she goes, no, he told me I could stay here.
Like, I'm
he
confined
can come here.
Yeah. No one wants to go back to the prison they just got out of a week ago.
No, I'm not going back there. You can come see me.
Yeah. So basically, the Faith Militant says, well, there's going to be violence. And Cersei just goes,
step aside or there will be violence.
I choose violence.
As Cersei is known to do.
It sets the mountain upon the Faith Militant.
Oh, not only that, well,
really, the mountain steps in front of her, but the militant strikes first.
Oh, yeah, he's got like this club with like the 4 spikes at the end, and he just like shoves it into his armor,
right?
And it just
like heart too,
and it doesn't budge. And the look on his face is just, oh god,
it's
so
one
great.
of the more humorous action scenes as well, and it's just you see it, just everyone react in just horror and just no idea of how to respond.
And I remember the point I was going to make there, and that was in seasons like 1 through 3, they were more focused on being the medieval. We're not quite fantasy. Are we fantasy? You're not sure. And then by the time, like after season 3, it's here's dragons, here's people coming back from the dead, here's priestesses, here's all this shit. I mean, so they know how far from reality they've gone, and they're having fun with it. So yeah, that's.
But in typical mountain fashion, he dispatches of the one guy who attacks him and literally takes his hand, puts it in the top of his mouth, pulls down on his jaw, and then proceeds to rip from his top jaw up, takes his head off.
Yeah.
With physical
just
strength.
using his overall strength just to destroy them.
And there's Lancel going,
oh, shit.
Oh.
Yeah, and all the militant are just staring on, we can't do anything here.
And the scene ends with Cersei going, please tell His Holiness he is welcome to visit.
And it's funny, just the whole time you see the blood staining across like the floor. And
the guy's hand's still twitching over there.
But classic, I liked it. It shows Cersei swinging
it's
what little power she has left. But
it's definitely a highlight for the episode.
Yeah.
But the problem is it also comes back and bites her in the ass.
But later, yes. We'll get to that. Okay, so let's get into the reunion of Brienne and Jaime Lannister. Woo! So Brienne and Pod finally arrive back, get to Riverrun, finally show up. It basically gets there, and the camp is still there. Looks like both sides are basically huddled in and are ready to, wait it out, so to speak. And Brienne basically makes her way to Jaime.
We forget some of the best lines in there too.
Okay. Yeah.
Podrick looks out there, like, looks like a siege, milady, and she just looks at, doesn't even look at him, just like dismisses him, like, your keen observation for military is unparalleled, or something like that.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Yeah, your military mind is astounding, Podrick. Oh my god, that cracked me up, and I was like, she just wanted to look at him and go smack upside his head or something.
So she goes into the tent with Jaime, and before we even get into the tent with Jaime, we see Bronn outside with Podrick. They have a reunion. Basically, Podrick just tells everybody else what we all know, and he's like, "You think she's fucking him? Or I know she'd fuck him. I'm pretty sure he'd fuck her." And
yeah, it goes into like a weird buddy comedy sort of moment for the show.
Well, I mean, they're two guys that were in the siege of Blackwater, and also in like the company of Tyrion for a long time too. And when they had to part ways, they hadn't seen each other since like season 3. So it's a great reunion for a couple of old war buddies.
Oh yeah, and then you just see him messing with Podrick the entire time. Do you want to learn how to fight like that?
First lesson. He slaps him.
Is that your sword? Don't look at your sword. No, but I'm sorry. Your comment, but you think she's fucking him? And Podrick goes, no, that is. And he goes, I'd fuck her. And I was like,
I'm pretty sure he'd fuck her too.
I was like, oh my god. I'm like, we just got Bronn saying he'd fuck, Brienne. Okay.
So finally, we go inside the tent, and it's Jaime and Brienne reunion, starstruck lovers, whatever, maybe, not really.
No, it's clearly there.
It's there.
No, it's whatever. It's there.
I don't think either one knows it's there.
No, they know it's there. They just hate to admit that it's there.
You think so? I think it's still subconscious.
No. There's nothing subconscious about this. I mean, they just hate.
He loves her. She loves him. But he also is in love and will never leave Cersei.
And they both also know that they're on opposing sides of the war as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So Brienne explains that she's fulfilled her oath. She found Sansa. Jaime's surprised. He's like, I never thought you'd find her, blah, 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 essentially. And then she proposes the compromise that, if I can get Blackfish to go help me, will you grant us safe passage? He finally agrees to that. I think probably because for his passion for her. I don't think, or anybody else, I don't think he would have said yes to that.
He agrees to it because this is his easy way of getting, Blackfish out of there and not having to kill anybody.
Well, yeah, it is.
We definitely see.
I don't think he'd take that deal, though, with anybody else but Brienne, though.
Well, not only that, because when she holds the sword to him, I mean, the name is Oathkeeper. So, yeah, she knows that he can keep his word, and she knows that and he knows that he'll abide to his word by her.
Yeah. And then, that's right. She tries to get the Oathkeeper back. Says, I fulfilled my oath, essentially. Mm-hmm. And he says, no, it's yours, and it's always going to be yours, essentially. So she gets to keep Oathkeepers now, officially.
Is that another Valyrian steel?
Yes, it is.
It is another Valyrian steel
sword? It's half of Winter. It's half of Ned Stark's sword.
I don't know. I think there's an interesting thing in that you can make the argument she's actually much better at keeping her word than he has ever been in the show.
Well, and she's also got a better arm for the sword now too, since he's learning how to fight with the other hand.
So, after he says that, then Brienne, and this is kind of like the highlight of the scene, in my opinion, because Brienne stops and says, basically, if I can't persuade him, you do realize I have to fight with him, which means I have to fight you, essentially. It's kind of one of those moments. Like, I don't know, irony moment kind of...
That's the moment that you know they're in love, is because they know...
Because Jaime's face also changes and becomes softer.
Yeah.
And he looks at her and goes, let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Yeah. I mean, that's why they know they can't act on those impulses they have either.
So, all right. So that brings us to the grand announcement. So there is basically we see Cersei go into the Great Hall. She's like, "Why wasn't I told that there was going to be a royal announcement or whatever?"
Are we skipping
Brienne's
to the Blackfish?
talking to the Blackfish there.
Oh, you're right. I totally skipped over.
You're getting a little ahead of yourself there, Memento.
Sorry, my bad.
What?
Yeah. So we see Brienne and the Blackfish go face to face. To me, I guess I skipped over because to me she presents her case and he goes, "I only knew Sansa as a little girl, and
my house,
this
not
is my
leaving."
house. I was, basically the same thing he told Jamie in the last episode to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and it's pretty close to like, well, my forces are pretty small, and outside of this wall, they're not that much help. So I'm not going to bother.
And he's basically just like sounding like every haunted house movie. My house, get out!
Yeah. So
Well, and she finally stops him because he's been rushing around. She finally stops him, presents him with the letter, and saying, "Here, read this."
and he finally does read it.
And he finally, takes it after she explains, "Look, I took care of Catelyn. I promised her I would find Sansa. I found Sansa. Sansa needs your help. Now freaking read this letter and let me do my job."
Yeah.
Because that was the whole purpose of her being there, was to try to get him to come help in the Sansa Stark Jon Snow battle versus Ramsay Bolton. So
My
he
house,
finally
not leaving.
Yes, we've heard you 4 times. Anyway, so he finally stops and reads the letter, and he kind of gets this soft-looking face again, and he's like, "Oh, she sounds like her mother." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Did I guess Mom wrote a lot more letters or something?" "Nope, still can't help her though." "Oh, okay."
Kind of well, that's sweet, but
That's
no.
nice. Yeah. "Oh, she sounds like her mother." "Oh, okay." Anyway.
So essentially, they're not going to get any help, and she basically says, "Get the maester. We're going to have to send a raven." I failed. That's what she.
And
told
Podrick's
me.
like, "What do you want me to? What do you want me to write? Tell her I failed."
Yeah.
I was like, "Ow."
She's
very
pretty hard
blunt
on
to the
herself
point.
with that too,
And we'll get to the next scene with him later, but to me, the uncle, this Blackfish, he just seems like a useless character.
Well, we talked about him last week, and he's kind of like, he's part of the old generation who is dying off or getting killed off one at a time, and it's him and Walder Frey, and who else did we say?
Tully? No.
Who? No.
You mean that's still alive? Or?
No, but you know what I'm talking about, though, right?
Yeah.
Like the older generation.
Well, yeah, the king from or the
and
Black.
I believe that Walder Frey and Blackfish are the last two.
Possibly,
yeah.
So
it also seemed kind of like a character that was kind of not necessarily wanting, kind of just hoping for kind of a good end. Like he didn't really have, his moment. He kind of died off. He didn't die on the battlefield like maybe a lot of the people he was with, and I don't know. It seemed like maybe he was kind of trying to get that to escalate to that situation. He's like, at least I'll have my last stand, sort of thing.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I guess. I don't know. I
wanted
just
to be
have been
Lieutenant
very,
Dan.
very impressed with the character. We can talk a bit more about him later. Okay, so
But they didn't really do much with his characters.
Yeah, they really could have done a lot more.
Not really. So moving on. This time
he was filler.
So we move on to the Great Hall. Cersei enters the Great Hall. Why haven't I been told that there's a royal announcement or a royal decree coming? And blah blah blah. And she's like, "I'm going to go stand by my son." And he's like, "No, you're going to stand with the rest of the ladies in the gallery."
Well, first you missed a big part there, kiddo. So she comes to the door opens, and the entire gallery just flips and looks and sees who's coming, and they're like, "Oh crap!" And it's the parting of the Red Sea almost, because then there's Cersei and the mountain coming through.
Well, sure, it's the mountain. I'd get away from
the mountain.
it.
The mountain still has the 4 holes in his chest.
But you know what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah,
and she walks
she's
up.
being shunned.
Yeah. The mountain is quite openly Frankenstein's monster at this point. He just tore some dude's head off.
Well, I don't think it's so much the the mountain that everyone's backing away from. It's the fact that Cersei's becoming the one singled out, and not just because of the mountain. It's the fact that she's becoming the new pariah.
And then,
especially because how she's distancing herself from the faith.
Which is how, not only that, but just, everything that she's gone through, like her entire reputation. I mean, that's all out there. Everything about her character.
And then she walks up to, she's walking up to the stairs to the throne to her son, and her uncle smacks and right in front of her stops her and goes, "I'm sorry, where do you think you're going?"
Yeah, I'm going to stand by my son.
And she goes, "Well, obviously there's something going on, and I wasn't told."
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of looks at Tom, and Tom kind of shakes his head. "There's a meeting in the gallery. Please come." As if to say, "Well, you're here. So
it's like, you want an announcement? Here's your announcement.
Yeah.
Now take your place with the rest of the ladies.
Ladies in waiting.
And
Not
she
even
goes, "Well, my
amongst...
place is next to my son." He goes, "No, your place is up there."
Basically
Now
sending
go.
her to the back of the room,
Well,
all the way tucked back.
Because that's where Sansa would go stand.
Well, Sansa, and where she wanted Marjorie to go stand to, but never did.
When Sansa became like the second fiddle, she was like, "Nope, you go over there now."
Yep. She's essentially. I mean, Cersei's now in the place of where she put everybody else she thought was underneath her.
So the fall of Cersei, perhaps we should call it the scene. So she is definitely put in her place. She is now pretty much on her own without Jaime there. Jaime's gone. Her son has betrayed her again.
Which is why Jaime's trying so hard to get back there so quickly. Anyway, go on.
But so this is the second time we've seen him openly betray Cersei. And this is the same kid, only a couple episodes say, "I need your help, Mom. I need to learn how to be ruthless," and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, and by more or less going along with the Faith's plan of ending trial by combat, pretty much just screws her plan
which,
over.
by the way,
that was her trump card.
Which, by the way, that was the big announcement, is that there is no longer going to be trials by combat.
And there's some kind of bullshit reason for why it's not wholly...
It's very barbaric. It's the old ways.
It's the old ways. And it's been known to let a lot of corrupt people escape the true judgment of the faith.
Blah, blah, blah.
Which I was like, holy crap, kid!
Well, he's not
you
wrong.
Just screwed her over.
Like, you screwed your own mother there.
Like, you just killed your own mother. Like,
granted you're a Lannister. Granted you're a Lannister, but you shouldn't be screwing like that.
And you almost saw Cersei's face going, "You little shit." It's like, "You're my son, and I fucking want to kill you."
Well, essentially, he's killed her.
Yeah.
I mean,
I know. Yeah. I realize that.
Yeah.
But I find it ironic because he's supposed to die before her, according to this priestess. And I almost wonder if Cersei's going to kill him.
Well, she had the chance at Blackwater.
Well, she believes in that prophecy at this point. That doesn't necessarily mean that's the prophecy it's going to happen.
Yeah. We'll see. Although I got a feeling it does at some point.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, this kid's not going to last long. Not in this world.
No. All right. So we return to Marine. And once again...
Wait, you're forgetting some more quotes there when the Master Qburn
goes
up to Cersei.
It's more of a... I don't even think there's a line. It's just kind of a look. And
no,
it's a
build-up where he's like...
we talked about the little birds and,
And he says, that old rumor you told me about my little birds investigate is like, and is it just a rumor or something more? And he just goes... Much more.
Oh, that's right. He dropped. So there's something.
So there is something there. It's not just a little thing.
They might have something in the High Sparrow or some form of dirt.
Well, there's something written in the notes here that there's a theory that based on Bran's vision, we know about all the wildfire, but again, as Steph, so clearly, accurately pointed out, whoever added this note in, that theory's wrong. Because there's no more wildfire left. Well, it's been detonated.
Well, there's also, as far as theories go out there, there's a theory that the Sparrow is actually from a I can't remember the name of the house now. They used to be the second richest house. They were a very powerful house.
Well, he talked about
the Castameres.
Yes. Well, yes, but was another name. It was part of Castamere.
Oh,
He's
okay.
from Castamere.
He talked about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He talked about it with Marjorie.
Oh, what was the name of that house?
Yeah, it was Marjorie, because he said that essentially, when he talks about,
he would get drunk, him and his friends would get drunk, whore it up, and then do it again the next damn day.
But he said he was a shoemaker, though. He didn't say anything about being of royalty. He said he wanted to be like royalty. But anyway, this... So there...
Oh, you...
So there's this...
Wow.
Our reference
He
guide
was a
has
shoemaker's son.
Yeah. Right. So, but there's a theory that he is the last surviving member of this house that the Lannisters destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
And that's his motivation. Anyway, I can't remember the name of the house.
Isn't that
People
the house they
scream at us.
took Casterly Rock from? Or was that originally in their family?
I don't
name?
remember.
I think Casterly Rock was originally in the Lannister family.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, they were a rival to the Lannisters. The Lannisters were the richest, and they were the second richest,
Because that's their ancestral home.
Oh, okay.
So, anyway. Okay, so moving on. We go across the sea once again, and we're back in Marine. And once again, we have Tyrion trying to strike up conversation with Grey Worm and Missandra.
Oh, my God.
Missandei. Sorry. Basically, it's Tyrion trying to tell old jokes. One of them, I think he tried to tell once before, a couple seasons ago. It seemed
There's
familiar.
a Stark, a Lannister, and a Tyrell that go into a bar.
And that's as far as it
all
gets.
three of them get into the glass.
Yeah.
It's like, and there's a fly in it. The Lannister demands that there is a new cup that is given to him. The Tyrell picks the fly up from the glass and flicks it out. And then the Stark picks the fly up out of the glass and goes, "Spit it out, you freeloader!"
There you go. There's one of the jokes, and he gets halfway through another joke, and he finally he kind of just gives up. He's
like, well, why don't you tell a joke?
Well,
he tries to get a Grey Worm and
Grey Worm,
Missandei to tell the joke, and it's just the way that they tell jokes. I mean, like, you wonder if Grey Worm has any sense of humor to
I think
him.
he does, but it's about as dry as you can get.
Well, I mean,
Stephen Wright's got nothing on Grey Worm.
Yeah.
Like, there's kind of a joke slightly there at the end when he's, like, trying... It seems like they're almost trying to explain the concept to him.
Yeah.
Because he's like... So it's like a story.
Mm-hmm.
But
then
Missandei actually had a
she has a
pretty
great
decent
joke where she's like...
That's not funny.
There are two... there are two translators on a sinking ship, and one of them... She's like, "I know how to swim." And the other one says, "I know how to shout help in 12 different languages."
But we're
and
missing
Grey Worm actually laughs
We're
at it.
missing the fun part. Well, no, he doesn't. He goes, "That's not funny." And she kind of was like, "Oh, okay."
It was funny.
He goes, "That was the joke."
Yeah, it's like, that's
because
my joke.
That was my joke.
That's his. There's that super dry sense of
That
humor.
was so cute.
Yeah, he has that little bit. I've been in the army for so many years. You think I haven't heard a joke before?
Right? Yeah,
It's the worst joke I've ever heard.
But before all the jokes and everything, he tries to get him relaxed a bit. He's like, drink wine with me. No, we don't drink.
Yeah,
and they're finally starting to drink.
And because he goes. And what was it?
It would be disrespectful for the queen if you do not
let's
take
drink
a drink
to our queen. And they're like, "Oh crap!"
Because it would be disrespectful if you do not drink.
Yeah,
the wine.
if you don't drink the wine, you don't love our queen. You son of a bitch.
Essentially, yeah.
And they drink, and Missandei goes, I'm like, like, what are you doing?
The college freshman took her first drink and she liked it.
Yeah.
Grey Worm, on the other hand, is going, "It is turned. That's how you know it's good."
Luckily,
it doesn't taste good.
Before Tyrion has a chance to corrupt them any further, the Masters arrive via the sea with boats. An invasion force has arrived at Marine.
Oh, boy.
Apparently, Tyrion's...
And Grey Worm looks at him and goes, "I told you this would happen."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so apparently Tyrion's big plan of 7 years is not acceptable to the Masters after all, of giving up slavery. So
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just means they'll get destroyed at some point, but it could have taken the offer.
Could have, but...
Before we get to that, we've got that We've got back at the Riverland, or Riverrun.
Yeah, moving
on. Jamie goes to Edmure.
Yeah, so we have the big Edmure, who is the Lord, technically the true Lord of Riverrun. He goes to him. He's the one that they've been threatening to kill if you don't open the gate, etc. Just for those of you who are not sure. Basically, Jamie just kind of says he loves Cersei to death, and that he will do whatever it takes to get back to her. In short, and that's the short version. I'll let you chime in. Go ahead, Steph. Go ahead.
Sorry. He comes into the tent, looks at Edmure, goes, "Oh, Lord Edmure, I will get you food and clothes and water. You know, you're our prisoner, but you shouldn't have to, squalor almost." And he continues to talk to Edmure. Edmure's like, How can you think yourself a decent person? How do you look at yourself?
Oh, shit.
And Jamie cracks me up because he kind of does this sideways, and you see his square jaw, and he's like, look at me. I'm handsome. I'm good looking. And he goes, you wear your gold armor. You have your golden hair. You have a perfect square jaw. How do you consider yourself decent? And then Jamie takes it and flips the whole script, and he talks about Catelyn,
and mothers,
and how Catelyn loved her, did everything out of love. Cersei and her are so similar, and it pisses Edmure off because this is his sister.
Because not only that, but Jamie's
family had her killed.
Yeah,
and he actually makes a good point that.
He makes a comparison to Cersei, which just further insults him.
Yeah. But then to top it all off, he actually says, you have a wife and a son that you have not seen since, your wedding night.
You're a very potent man.
Yeah. It's like your son who you conceived on your wedding night, and you haven't seen him at all. Would you like to see them? And it's up to me. I can have you go see them, or I could just put them both on a catapult and throw them right over to you.
He said nothing about throwing the wife.
Or just the kid, or
he was gonna. He said basically after talking about Catelyn and talking about how she, captured Jamie, how she captured him, and did everything out of love for her children. Let Jamie go because it was the right thing to do, and he promised he would send Sansa and Arya to her, but obviously that never happened, and Sansa was gone by the time Jamie got back there, and so was Arya. But he takes it and says, "I love Cersei. I will do anything I have to."
No, he says the things we do for love
to get back to her, and if it means taking your son and catapulting him into Riverrun, I'll do it.
And killing everybody else.
And killing every other Tully.
Yeah.
Whoever I have to kill to get back to Cersei, I'll do it.
And the thing is, when we were watching earlier, they actually brought up an interesting point. One of the last times Jaime Lannister said the things we do for love was right before he pushed Bran out the window.
Yeah, that's true.
They said, if you hear Jaime Lannister, if you're with Jaime Lannister, and you hear him say the things we do for love, they were like, run.
Well, apparently he makes his impression, right? Because the next scene, Edmure goes to the gate and says, "I am the Lord of Riverrun, open the gate." And essentially, the commander of the forces of Riverrun says, "Well, I have to obey him." And he's arguing with Blackfish. Blackfish is like, "Don't let him in.
He's
Don't
been their
do
prisoner.
He's got a knife to his throat."
Yeah. You're listening to the Kingslayer.
Right.
I just think Blackfish makes a pretty decent argument there. Like, he's
He
there
does.
in distress.
That's the
like,
one time he's, makes the most sense of it.
yeah, and they just ignore him.
Yep.
So yeah, they ignore him. They let him in, and then he orders the king of the head guard to surrender the castle.
Yep.
Let down the gates
and find the Blackfish.
And find the Blackfish.
And all the while they're leaving the castle, the other people are coming in. Reigns of Castamere is playing in the background, and I was like,
I picked up on that.
Okay.
The weird thing about that is I was just expecting a slaughter, and it didn't happen. They just
We're so
threw the
used to
weapons.
expecting a slaughter whenever we hear that music.
Well,
Exactly.
It was a peaceful version. It was still a slaughter. It was a political slaughter, if you get right down to it.
But I mean, comparison to like the Wed Redding or many of the other violent battles, it wasn't just like they went in there and just started stabbing everyone.
Well,
But
essentially,
it's the death of the House of Tully, though. Essentially, I mean,
Essentially, they cut off Edmure's balls and handed it to him on a plate. And said,
Well, he's never been, the bravest individual within the show.
But he, he's like, well, to save my son and my wife.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Tullys now they still have the manpower, but they gave up, you saw them give up all their armor and all their swords and their weaponry. They put it in a big pile. So, I mean, they're powerless now. They've been conquered, completely conquered.
Well, I mean, if Edmure
maybe
is
not slaughtered, but conquered,
is the one running the house and his family's, hostage, that's more or less putting them in that position to begin with. So, even without weapons, there's really not a lot he would do to go against the Lannisters at that point.
And if you want to say, this is the end of the Tullys, it really is. Because Edmure is the last Tully. Because Catelyn was killed.
Yep.
His other sister, the nutty one,
got thrown through
the moon door.
Through the moon door by Littlefinger.
Right.
And, when Edmure comes in, he says, find the Blackfish. And put him in chains and give him to the Freys. Chains? Yeah, chains. But later on, they're like, oh, well, he died in battle. Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was the only one who didn't really want to give up the place.
All right.
So,
so that pretty much concludes. I'm sorry. Right before the end, we see Blackfish. Basically, you see Blackfish, and they're like in an underground mode of the castle. There's a boat there.
Yeah, there's like a channel.
Brienne is leading him out.
Brienne and Podrick are getting on the boat to leave, and there's the Blackfish, and he's like, I was born here. I'm gonna die here. And again, to the uselessness of this guy's character, we don't even get to see him die. He just pulls out his sword and goes, "I haven't had a decent sword fight in years."
Well, essentially, he's becoming like the Lieutenant Dan. He expects to die on the field or in battle.
I'm probably going to embarrass myself.
Yeah, I'm going to embarrass myself, and you don't even get to see him killed. They just say that he got killed. He's dead.
And Brienne tells him, "Hey, there is a fight for you. You can still
come with us.
Come with us to the north." And that's why he thinks he's going to be embarrassing, is for that reason.
And he looks at Brienne and goes, "You would serve my niece better than I would."
Yeah. And then at the end, you see Brienne leave with Podrick, and you see Jaime see them from afar. He raises his hand, she raises hers.
Well, on top of that, too,
the star-crossed lovers part once again.
And you also have a moment there where they say, what was it? Where they go report back to Jaime or to Edmure, and they say, "My lord, the Blackfish is dead."
No, they don't tell Edmure that. They tell Jaime.
Yeah, they tell Jaime that. Essentially, so it's kind of like those farm boys in season 2 again, like where you have like a body as a placeholder.
Mm-hmm. So that concludes the RIVERRUN scene, and we move on next, and a ways down the road, I suppose, probably not too far. We run into that priest again, that resurrected, that the Hound thought that one guy.
The one with the Brotherhood.
The Brotherhood without banners. Mm-hmm. We run into.
He's the Red Priest.
He's the Red Priest. Yeah. The drunken Red Priest. Yeah. He
is also, and I just thought about this earlier. He's also the Red Priest that Melisandre talks about to Davos when he's asking her, "Can't you bring Jon back from the dead?"
Yeah.
And she goes, "Well, there's talk of a Red Priest that kind of does it, but he's the Red Priest."
Yeah. And
he has done it, apparently.
Over and over and over again.
To this one particular individual who's also there. And they have found the rest of the horde that destroyed the church growing people that the Hound was with.
Well, it wasn't a horde. They found the rest of...
The attack
They were
party.
the Brotherhood. The people that attacked the thing were part of the Brotherhood. And Barrick is the guy that you're talking about.
Yes.
And he goes, they've sullied our name, and therefore they must die.
They must die. And you have 3 of them with nooses around their necks, and basically the Hound meets back up with them, and basically says, "I want to kill them all."
They negotiate.
They negotiate how many guys he gets to kill.
They're sitting there hanging on a barrel with a rope around their necks.
Yeah.
And they're negotiating who's going to kill who.
Well, they also end up negotiating about how he gets to kill them.
I know. That made me crack up.
Again, they pump. The Hound is now comical. Here's this guy who is a stone cold killer.
Oh yeah, we were afraid of him.
We hated him. We loathed him.
I think seeing Brienne beat him and the moment that Arya refuses to kill him. That's the moment she kind of killed the Hound and left Sir Gregor, or
Celine.
Yeah,
Calgain.
Yeah,
Calgain.
Basically left him. Okay. He's no longer the Hound.
Sandor Calgain.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'm kind of off with that last name. Sorry, y'all.
So basically, the Hound is dead, and we've got Clegane or whoever.
Well, whatever version of this Hound we have, but
who's awesome, who's funny.
He's funny, yeah. So they go through this whole thing, and they're like, finally, okay, you can have 2 of the 3. We get to kill 1, you get to kill 2. And all they do is kick the barrels over.
Well, because he goes, oh, good, okay. And he starts to, lift his axe, and Horror stops him and goes, no, we're not butchers. We're the Brotherhood.
Yeah, he seemed very disappointed by that. He was like, fine.
Just
kick the barrel.
But the other thing,
but these groins, I have to axe these groins.
He also goes in an attempt to say that how much he's grown. He's like, there was a time where I would have killed all of you just to kill these 3.
Yeah, I would have killed the 7. Oh my god! And the dude with the bow and arrow, put your arrow back in, girl.
I don't know.
Yeah, better girls than you have tried to kill me.
So they kick the barrels over. He kicks 2, they kick 1. They're dead. See you later.
Well, no, they're not. Well, as they're dying the Hound takes the guy's boots off.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. He steals his boots.
While he's shaking there, dying. And the other 2 just stop and look at him like
in disdain, oh my god, are you serious?
Are you kidding me right now?
These are nice boots. He's not going to need them.
Yeah.
Could be worse. It wasn't like he was checking their pockets for gold or anything.
Well, because they ask him, they're like, is there anything you need right now? So the guy's dying. He takes his boots. He goes, well, you got any food?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it turns into a campfire. They're all sitting around the campfire. Anyway, so he sits there and he basically eats chicken with them. And they basically propose to the Hound, well, why don't you come with us and help us out?
Yeah, they actually seem like they're talking about fighting the White Walkers up north.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
That's exactly what they're talking about.
That's what he says. He's like, there's a evil that's coming.
Winter's coming in the north and it's very cold.
Yeah.
And
there's an evil that wants to put an end to all the houses.
Well, it's interesting because it's not like you really hear news of that go around through any of the other areas, so it had to have been either the Red Priest himself that's channeling that information or something along those lines.
Well, see, this guy, Barrick, is the one that Ned Stark sent out in, season 1 or season 2 or something like that. Mm-hmm. But it had to be season 1, because, he died.
He died.
I'm like,
because Ned.
But he sends out Barrick to kind of almost form a brotherhood to kill the Mountain or the Hound or somebody.
I don't remember. I'd have to go back and rewatch that episode now.
Yeah, but he basically tells Barrick, go get an army or go get a force and Dicker or something. He sends him out is what he does. And so this guy was loyal to Ned. And, when Ned died, he became the Brotherhood without banners. Because they don't have a house. They don't really have anything. They just kind of in the show that we watched earlier, the After the Throne, whatever, can I say it on
Yeah, you can.
After the Throne special?
Yeah.
They said that
which is a good show. You should watch.
Yes, it's a very good show.
Check all our references
they said that what is it? They became the Robin Hood of Game of Thrones. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Kind of, yeah.
you fight the rich, give to the poor kind of thing.
Mercenaries with a good cause. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's who Beric is. And Horse keeps bringing him back and back because, and the Hound has actually killed Beric.
Yes, he did.
You know, because that was the battle by combat, and the Hound won, but Horse brings Beric back to life, and it was like, wait, what? And they make a reference to that in this episode, or in this scene.
So much
start to wonder how you beat me. He's like, I beat you because I'm better than you.
Yeah, and so much for my theory, because now they've got rid of trial by combat, and instead of the Hound heading towards Westeros, he's heading north. So much for the Mountain versus the Hound, I guess.
Brother versus brother.
Yeah, that was my big theory. I was kind of like, ooh, that'd be cool. But anyway, so we'll move on from there. Eventually, though, the Hound does agree reluctantly.
He doesn't really agree.
Well,
they kind of leave it settle, because Beric tells him what's coming is going to kill us all.
Yeah, I kind of got the feeling anyway. He was joining
no,
up.
and
because he really has no other place to go.
Right,
Yeah.
and when Beric says that, they show the Hound's face when Beric's telling him all this, and when Beric says, "What's coming is going to kill us all," the Hound's face is like, you know, kind of taken back, like, there's nothing that can kill me, obviously.
Yeah.
You know, or there is, but it hasn't yet, so... And he's like, wait, what? And so he's like, well, it'll give me something to fight, so he figures, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing else for him.
Like I said, there's nowhere else for him to go, so he might as well. So, we go back, we're back to Braavos, we return to ARYA, who is asleep, and basically you have Lady Crane kind of watching over her, still kind of taking care of her.
This whole scene creeped me out.
Yeah, WAIF finds her. She finds her. Basically makes short work of Lady Crane.
Like kicks the stool out from underneath
but
her
it
feet.
isn't. Well, it is WAIF, but it's WAIF with a face.
WAIF what?
With a little with a young man's face.
Yes, that's true.
That's what creeped me out. Because WAIF, you know, does that little tilt head thing and stares at her, and I'm like, not good, not good, not good.
So after she after Lady Crane's just kind of crumpled up dead, WAIF kind of goes at ARYA, kind of stings ARYA, said, well, if you'd done your job, she would have died painlessly. So a nice little jab at ARYA. The faceless god always gets what was promised, and now he's been promised another name. And so the chase is on once again.
Which, another funny side note, apparently in the script they simply said, what follows is the greatest foot race on TV and movie history. That's all that was in the script.
It probably lived up to that, yeah.
Yeah, and the director was like, yeah, no pressure on me or nothing.
Yeah. Jason Bourne meets, you know,
I was going to say
Terminator.
No, Jason Bourne meets the guy that James Bond was chasing at the beginning of Casino Royale.
There's already been a couple memes like comparing it to like what was it, Terminator?
Oh, Terminator 2. That was my favorite because WAIF's head movements and the way that she moves her arm while she's running.
Yeah. It looks like
she is the T-1000.
Yeah, you don't realize how like close the resemblance is until you see it right next to each other. Like, oh wow, maybe that's what throws off her
even
character
her
this whole
facial
time.
expressions and the way she's just staring forward.
Yeah,
like
well, that you have like a little bit of the bone structure as well.
She doesn't blink.
Robert Patrick.
Yeah,
she doesn't blink.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just her walking very fastly, like
it's
speed walk with a purpose. You know,
in the chase scene, you see her like start running out, and you just see her like actually just see like she's actually enjoying it for like the first time like in the entire show.
Oh yeah, because she's like, I know she seems happy. She's like, I know I'm gonna win, so I'm just gonna almost. I don't need to run. I'm just gonna. I'll catch her.
Oh my god, and it was like Jason Bourne meets Terminator 2. And I was like, wow. What me and John liked, or what I liked, what I pointed out to him, was when Arya thought, hey, I lost her, because she walked through that bathhouse. She was kind of like, okay, I think I lost her. And then you see WAIF running off the rooftop.
Across the roof in the top
jumps
left corner
down.
of the
I'm
screen,
like,
and just
who
leaps.
the hell are you?
I found it so funny because she more or less just jumps down right into someone.
Yeah.
Like, knocks over 2 people just to get to her.
Well,
she is the freaking Terminator.
And she has to, so that Arya realizes, hey, she's right behind me. Because Arya stops and turns, and she's like, ha ha ha, and basically takes off running again. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, her wounds have reopened at this point.
Well, because she not yet because she's
eventually. I'm just saying it's because of the whole chase scene.
Yeah. Well, no, because she takes that big leap off one rail, plummet just rolls down this giant set of stone steps,
and even the director of the show goes, I had this vision of seeing oranges just everywhere,
like a lot
falling.
of oranges.
He goes, it was so cool.
Gotta go through the market. Gotta tear up a market. I mean, come on.
Because you can't have a chase scene unless you overturn at least one fruit cart.
Or cabbage cart.
Cabbage!
My cabbages!
So, finally, I think at one point, Arya, we finally see her grab Needle again.
Well, first...
as she's bleeding, she's leaving handprints, leaning against the wall. And
you think, oh my god, girl, you're being stupid. Why are you leaning her towards you?
And this whole time Steph is watching this, she was just like, no, they can't kill her. Oh my god. That's it. I will be done with the show.
Well, my logical part of my brain was saying they're not going to kill her. My emotional side of my brain said, oh fuck.
Yeah, my heart was literally beating out of my chest. I could feel it. It was just like, no, not Arya, please don't kill Arya, please. But
how many Starks do you have to kill?
I'm like, why?
How many Starks are left by this point?
I'm like, if anyone else died, take Sansa.
4? Take 3 or 4.
Or take the one kid in,
Rickon?
Yeah, take Rickon. I mean, what's he done lately?
Yeah, really, you really haven't seen him at all.
There's no emotional investment.
Whatever.
In that kid. Yeah,
anyway, but I was literally like almost in tears because I was like, no, they can't do this. This is ridiculous.
She was getting mad. She was really getting mad.
I was like, John, this fucking... Are you kidding me right now?
And every bit of me was just going, it's not going to end this way. I know it can't end this way.
Mm-hmm.
So she eventually gets Needle. She ends up in that dark room where we saw her hide. I think at the end. I think it's the same room anyway. Where
it was the same room. Well, that was where her bed and everything.
And it's basically at this point, it's really become a battle of confidence because Arya, up until this point that she's been on the run, has been insanely confident that she's going to get every name on her list, and now she really is running for her life and finally felt the mortality. But WAIF is so confident that she thinks she's better than Arya.
Well, even she says it'll all be over soon, and she even says, on your knees or on your feet, what's it going to be? You know, how do you want it?
And then she pulls out Needle. And WAIF goes, we've done this before. It never ends well for you.
Yep. And in a brilliant move, because we've seen her beat her blind before, she takes out the candle with Needle.
Yep.
And the room goes dark.
Well, because, Arya has... of the two, probably has been the only one truly blind.
Mm-hmm. And the only time we've seen her beat WAIF is when she was blind.
Or at least get the upper hand.
The upper hand in their training sessions. So the room goes blind. We're not sure what the hell happens. And for a few seconds...
Rip your fucking heart out.
we see Jaqen go back into the Great Hall. There's a trail of blood.
Yep.
And we think it's like back to the cleaning room again.
Mm-hmm.
And he walks through, and he sees like the Great Hall of Faces. We know the God of the God of Many Faces has claimed a new one. And he looks up there, and there's WAIF's face right on the thing. And he turns around, and Arya has Needle pointed right at Jaqen.
Yep, right at his chest, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Well, remember the whole time Arya was blind, she learned how to fight in the dark. WAIF didn't.
Yep.
Clearly, WAIF was not trained nearly as well.
No.
Though she was there much longer.
And basically, what's the faceless man say to her? Basically, he lowers his hands like, "Go ahead and kill me if you want." And then he goes, "Finally, a girl has. Finally, as a girl is no one." What?
Because Arya says, "You sent her to kill me," and he goes, "Yes."
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "Well, okay." And that's why he goes, Finally the girl
is no one. And Arya turns to him and says, "A girl is Arya Stark of Winterfell, and I'm going home."
Base.
I'm out. And
Mic drop.
Mic drop. And
a girl left her microphone.
He just kind of nods his head. She walks away, and he looks, to me,
happy.
He looks proud.
He's happy.
He's proud. He has that proud look on his face,
because she's an assassin.
His teacher has done his job.
She's an assassin, and B, maybe that was his whole plan all along, was for her to go back home.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
We've got before we wrap this up, apparently we have one more scene we kind of left out there.
What's that?
Well, apparently amongst this siege of the Masters coming back to reclaim their stuff.
Oh yeah, we did skip over that.
We did skip the fact that Daenerys has finally come back to Marine.
The other big thing. So
she comes back and they stare at each other.
Yeah,
briefly.
essentially,
and she's just going to stay in the damn pyramid again.
Essentially, the pyramid is under attack. They're throwing fire from the ships at the pyramid. The pyramid's somewhat on fire.
Yep.
And
the dragon's right behind her.
Well, and Tyrion, Missandei, and Grey Worm are all up there, and Tyrion goes, "Well, shouldn't you go out to the what is it, the bay and take back the city?"
Yeah.
And Grey Worm goes, "No, you have done enough.
You've done enough talking.
You don't know how to deal with the army. I do. We're doing it my way." Yep. Tyrion kind of was like, "Okay."
Which is the first time we've seen Tyrion's great plan. Well, we've seen it go awry a couple times.
Tyrion's mouth has come back and bit him in the ass, essentially.
His great plan is everything is faltered by that point.
Yeah.
Everything that
much
he's trying to do.
Much like Waif's confidence is kind of wavered in this episode as well.
Yeah. Different way, but yeah.
Anyway, so then you have Grey Worm saying, "No, we will stay here. They can meet us here, and we will fight them here."
Yeah, they'll make them come here.
Because this is the only safe place.
Yep.
And then...
At which point, Daenerys...
Well, they show you the light or the chandelier up on the roof.
Yeah.
And it shakes, and you're thinking, oh, they're bombing the shit out of the pyramid.
It's like, the catapults actually reached their apex.
And they think... I don't know, for some reason, they think, like, let's go check and see what's outside. How the hell can anybody get up there? 1, 2, it shakes, and you realize why it shakes after, because the Unsullied kind of backs out and bows, and you're like, and the only reason why he would bow is because their queen's back.
And she comes like rushing in and just gives them all a stern look and doesn't say anything. That's all we get.
And you see Drago.
Yeah, in the background.
In the background, flying away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, well, that's why it shook, because it landed and she came down.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, is there an escalator down from the roof to there so quickly?
No, he just dropped her off because the outside was like a balcony.
I know, I realized he dropped her off, but he lands on the roof. How does she get from the roof down to there?
Pops down.
It's like a giant slide. You just ride his tail down to the door like a slide.
He's got claws. I mean...
Yes, but it didn't shake the side of the building. It shook the top of the building.
He just jumps down.
Am I going too far for you?
You really are thinking too much into this fantasy show with dragons and wildfire.
Anyway. So Daenerys is back. So
this doesn't match. Anyway.
So
shut up with your science. It's fantasy.
I think the
Wizard did it.
I think probably the other thing we'll see either next episode or the last episode, we're going to see the dragons lay waste to the ships outside.
Well, obviously,
Yeah, burn them to the ground. So
it'd be kind of disappointing if you don't to an extent.
Yeah,
at least one of the dragons.
Obviously, definitely, yeah.
In fact, I would like to see her set her dragons out. Maybe not to Volantis because that's where the whorehouse is apparently. But
save it.
The other two cities just lay a waste to them. Maybe I don't know, just to make her point. But we'll have to see. I don't know. All right, real quick. Anybody got any theories about...
Yes.
Okay, go
Theory
ahead.
for tomorrow's episode.
Yep.
I'm thinking, and they brought this up in After the Thrones or whatever, you still have Yara, the Greyjoys, and the fleet coming to Marine to help Daenerys and her plight of trying to get to Westeros.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you also have the slavers in their bay pitching fireballs. I'm thinking the Navy, for lack of a better term, the Navy's going to come up and right around behind.
It could be, yeah.
And attack the slavers and
Well, that would
knock
definitely
them
give
out
them
of the
some
way.
leverage in terms of negotiating or
Yeah,
showing
hey, we
loyalty
just
to
helped you.
They're not
Yeah.
far either. They were in
It'd be
Atlantis.
great is like have,
actually, they were pretty much, a days away?
If that.
Maybe less, yeah.
Or, like if the uncle's like crappy fleet actually gets there and they sink the crappy fleet of the uncle and then Yara comes in to help him out and actually does take him.
I mean,
think
he was
he's-
still building his, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
Yeah.
He's got to find.
They got to find wood.
Yeah, I was gonna say they got to
in
find
the
some
iron
In the
trees.
Iron
Islands.
Islands.
They have to, plant some trees.
Yeah.
Too bad they haven't learned displacement
Whittle.
yet. They
Yeah.
can build iron ships.
Wait, what was the Greyjoys' motto? We do not sow? Or something like that?
No, it was. What is dead?
What is dead doesn't
Something.
stay dead
There's something.
because they drown everybody.
Yeah, the drown god. Blah blah blah. Yada yada yada. All right, so let's get right into final thoughts and grades. All right, Aaron. Final thought and grade.
I'd probably give this episode a B plus. It had a lot of really fun moments, but the river run part of the episode was really slow for me.
Oh, okay.
And it was just kind of the downside of the season for me personally.
Okay. I'll build off that. I'll actually give it an A only because I would agree with you, except for the whole Arya scene really took this episode from being more of a building episode into something very interesting to watch. And I love that whole scene with WAIF and her just coming of age, essentially, and finishing her time in Bravos and completing her Jedi training, as I like to call it. So I give it a solid A. I wouldn't give it an A minus, but I wouldn't give it an A plus, but I give it a solid A. Johnny, final thought and grade.
I'm gonna give this one an A minus. Mostly, I gotta disagree with you, Aaron. I mean, the scenes with Jaime Lannister at RIVERRUN, that dialogue was perfect. I mean, that is just like the stuff of good writing right there. Jaime Lannister, no matter what tent he enters, those scenes are perfect. Him talking with Brienne, him talking to Edmure. Those are moments that really, those are the moments that actors just thrive for, that they hope that they get. It's just, those are great scenes. But the reason I move it a little lower, I don't think those scenes were so much the bad ones. I think the overall pacing is like, they're setting something up, and I think it's the next episode. So that's kind of what my thoughts are like as far as like what's going to happen in the next episode. I think what we're going to see with the Battle of the Boltons, we might have something on the scale of Blackwater again. Because if you think about it, because Episode 9 is always like Game of Thrones' big tentpole episodes, and it's always in Season 1, Episode 9, Ned Stark gets killed. Season 2, Episode 9, it's fucking Blackwater, and it's like the moment you're like, holy shit, this is now an epic. Season 3, Episode 9 was, of course, the Red Wedding, and I believe there was another battle in Season 4, Episode 9, wasn't there? So yeah, like, it seems to be like the even number seasons of Episode 9 are these tremendous battle sequences, and then Season 5, Episode 9s are the kind of tear your heart out episodes.
Yeah, so let's hope there's no tearing of hearts. We've already had that this season. Stephanie, final thought and grade.
Probably a B+++.
A B+++. Okay,
Yeah.
explain.
Not so much an A, but
Not even an A minus.
But not an A minus. Not even an A minus. No, maybe like an A minus 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 minus.
Oh my God, you're that teacher.
Yeah, I'm kind of
that teacher.
I'm in between the B plus 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 and the A minus 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 minus. Anyway,
So
so
do you
somewhere
round,
in between
do
there.
you round up or
my
do you
test.
round down? That's
I don't round at all.
Okay.
Anyway, kind of that 89ish 0.4 area, right? Because an A was like a 90 when we were in school. I don't know.
Well, that's college.
Anyway,
Okay,
but
why?
yeah. Why? For your reason. A, the speech, the Jamie scenes were amazing, and Arya. Oh my God, I fucking wanted to rip my heart out because they were killing me. I thought for sure they were gonna kill her off, and they didn't. Thank God. So yeah, but Dany, they didn't do anything with. She just walks in and is like, okay.
I'm here. Cut.
Well, it was just like a storm in.
But for me, she left her Dothraki army. What? Why?
Coming. Like
Well,
everything
she
with her
left
was
them
coming.
there, and I'm like,
Or do we even know what happened to them?
yeah,
I mean, they're
I'm like,
they-
what the fuck is it? Why? Huh? So there's that. Then there's the whole Blackfish scene. You don't see him die. We don't know if he's dead.
They say he's dead.
They say he's dead, but and I go back to after the third special. They show you who they kill. Everyone that they say is dead technically isn't dead. They showed you Ned Stark getting his head chopped off. They showed you killing Catelyn. They showed you killing Robb and his family. And if they want to show you somebody's dead, they show you. They showed us Jon stabbed, 7 times?
Was it 5?
7?
Or
7? Yeah.
5.
9?
Something like that.
Anyway.
Mostly from the kid.
So, I mean, and then Blackfish. I respect the actor, but they used this whole siege crap as filler. I mean, it was like we didn't really care about it, and it was kind of like, we're laying siege. Oh, okay, for like 2 days. Okay, that's nice. To a week, maybe tops. It was filler. It was stupid. And then the whole like, I'm not gonna help my niece because I don't really know her. Okay, well, thanks, Uncle. Appreciate it. Love you too. I thought this show was about family.
It is.
Yeah, they pissed that down their leg.
Well, with this one character, yeah.
Yeah.
Just a curmudgeon old man.
Tyrion scenes and stuff like that. Yes, that was good. With him trying to add some comedic relief to the whole situation was great. But then when his words come back and bite him in the ass, you're like, oh, they tried to warn you, dude. Sorry.
Yeah.
Varys leaving, yes, I understand. You know, he couldn't stay there. He had to go back to King's Landing to get his foothold back into the city that it once was. And, you know, hasn't been since he left. And I'm kind of scared, you know, they're going to kill him off now. But, again, you said that, you know, he might be going there to kind of open the path for Dany and her army. Yeah. So, you know, that'll be interesting to see. But, oh my God. The Hound. The Hound, he was like the whole show for me last week.
He was hilarious.
He was great. I mean, he was awesome. And he was, it was just, all his scenes were great. And then something we left out of our discussion here was, while he's sitting there eating his chicken, he gets up and he whips it out, and they don't cut away.
Was that a highlight?
The Hound is not.
No, it was not a highlight for me. I looked at John and went, "Whoa, whoa, put it back." Because I was like, we don't need no, we don't need that.
Well, he had to pee.
He had to pee. I know. But what was
the
so
kind of
funny,
character he is.
But what was so
Yeah,
funny?
whatever.
They're doing like a whole rain scene for it, and it's only drip, 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 drip. I'm like, it's not matching the sound, people. It made me crack up, and I'm like, all right, whatever. So he tucks it back in, comes back, sits down. Okay, had to pee. That's fine. All right. But the Hound did it for me this week. I mean, he was great.
Right after you talk about him whipping it, I was like, he did it for me.
No, like,
I'll have a cigarette now. It was wonderful.
I'm not beneath the seats, just going to the memory bank somewhere.
Him and Arya were the whole show for me this week.
No, they were.
You know, and that was awesome. So yes, I don't want to give it an A, but I don't want to take away how
minus,
I don't want to take away how awesome it was either. So.
All right, that's fair. All right.
I still say it sounds like you're giving it an A minus.
So real quick, where can you find Four Midwest Guys? You can find Four Midwest Guys by simply going to google.com and typing in the number 4 Midwest Guys. There you'll find our YouTube channel. You'll find our Twitter page. You'll find our Facebook page. We're on iTunes as well. We're also on Stitcher. We're on a lot of the online apps. If we're not on an online app, let me know, and I'll get us on that online app. So just let us know, but we want to hear back from you. We'd love to hear your questions, your theories on this show especially. There's a ton of them out there, as well as our other podcasts that we do. So reach out to us and let us know what you think. With that said, Johnny, thanks for joining us.
As always.
Stephanie.
Bye-bye.
And my brother Aaron.
Yeah, no problem.
And for myself, B. Willie, saying, don't love anyone except for Ramsey, because we want Ramsey to die.
Die, die, die.